Good morning. וההקדומה החמישי שיבור לו כי כל הדברים המסרחשים ומסחדשים באוילם הזה לאחבריאס האוילם יוצאים לפועל על די שני דברים. You see, the Halevovas told us that a person might think, you know what, I got the clarity of the picture, however, I constantly see new things happening, and kavayachal, it's hard for me to connect in this dark world how they relate back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Says the Halevovas, there are two ways how these things happen. Number one, Aleph, remembering that every single thing that happens in this world was a gezerah min hashamayim. This is the way it was supposed to happen. And base, through intermediaries, whether close by or further, as he will explain, but everything happens from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, b'chalkam gluyim, b'chalkam nistarim. Some of them are more hidden, some of them are more open. Shekulam mitziam lapoil bezrizos es mashen nigzal es havus and es galus, shalekim oizlam lasazois. But of course, all of these intermediaries are also only based on a gezerah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So again, the first one is an idea that something could just happen without an intermediary, where HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes a gezerah for mon to come. There is no in between, no one did any action to get that mon, and then there's a certain gezerah that comes through intermediaries. Now the Halevovas says, Lamaisa, I told you that there's some further apart and some closer, and how do I explain that? Says the Halevovas an example. Imagine if you see a well where someone is trying to get some water from deep down, and what he does is he takes a behemoth, and this behemoth walks around in a circle, and with her motion that's connected to a stick, and that stick is connected to a rope, and that rope turns one wheel, and that wheel turns another wheel, and so forth, another rope, and another pulley, and another wheel, until the actual pitcher that goes down into the pit and brings up the water. Now, of course, the pitcher itself that brings up the water, that's a very close intermediary to actually bringing the water. And of course, the behemoth is much further apart. The person who arranged the behemoth and everything else to work is even further apart. But of course, all these are just intermediaries from the person who caused this whole chain of events to happen. But of course, no one will think for 1 second that they have to say thank you to the pitcher for bringing up the water. Of course, this was all a gezerah from the person who created this plan. And that's what the Chovas is telling us. Of course, sometimes we see things happen, whether we see an employer or that gives a check or something else, that we might think, well, there's an intermediary and he really chose to do this for me, or vice versa. Says the Chovas, chas v'shalom. All of that are intermediaries. And of course, he will explain later on why there are intermediaries. But everything, a person must always remember that everything is just an intermediary coming from a clear gezerah min hashamayim. Have a wonderful day.